So you have a linear parent functions, that's the y equals mx plus parentheses is where the x is. So where you see the x, that's your parentheses. So anything outside of that is outside, anything inside of that is inside. If you have a quadratic, we're going to use the vertex form. And that's pretty obvious because you can see where the parentheses is. So this is inside the parentheses. This is outside the parentheses. This is outside the parentheses. Right? If you have an exponential, which is abx, parentheses right there. So that's anything inside there is x. Anything outside, right? This is outside is y. All right. Absolute value, we've mentioned this before, but we're going to look at it again. The parentheses is a straight line. So anything inside the straight lines is x. Anything outside is y. Square root. All right, the square root is the parentheses. So put a parenthesis right there. Anything inside the square root, x. Anything outside is y. Here's the question. All right, so remember, parenthesis is where the x is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a parenthesis right here. That's where the x is. All right, so this is an exponential function, right? Am I inside or outside this -1? I'm inside, so I'm going to say I'm in. If I'm inside, is it x and opposite or y and regular? Well, if I'm inside, it's x and opposite. All right. Am I adding or subtracting this one? Am I multiplying the one or is it negative? It's not just a negative, it's -1. So I'm adding or subtracting. So what does that do? So I know if I'm inside, I'm x and opposite. So that means I'm only thinking of the x-axis, right? So I'm going to draw the x-axis. There's two directions I could go, left or right. Go ahead and write those in so we are so clear. There's only two options. Now it's going to be opposite of what I think. Opposite. So -1, I would think I should be going. So if this was 0, I would think -1 would be to go this way, but it's going to be opposite. So I'm going to go right. All right. So let me say that again. I should be saying left 1, but because I know it's opposite, I'm really going to go right 1. Okay, so that's how we're going to do our notes. All right, let's do another one. So again, let's put a parenthesis where the x is. All right, this time this +3 is not with the x, so it's outside. So I'm going to be out. All right, is it x and opposite or y and regular? It's y because it's outside, so it's going to be y. And whatever you think is going to be the answer. All right, are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or is it negative? We are adding 3, so adding and subtracting. All right, so what does it do? So if we're outside, we're in the y-axis. So let's go ahead and draw the y-axis. So we have two options. We can go up or we can go down. Well, what does +3 on the y-axis do? So if I'm standing right here, +3 would be going what? Up. So up 3. Now, is it, for my final answer, is it opposite or anything? No, it says that it is exactly what you think. So this is going to be regular. So that means the answer that I have so far is going to be what it is, up 3. All right, let me do another one. So again, find your parentheses, is where your x is right here. All right, that means everything is outside. All right, so let's start. Since they say from left to right, I'm going to start from left to right. I've already done this +3 part, so I already know what that means. That's out, y regular. That's going to be up 3. Now I have this other negative. So I have a negative outside. So again, is it inside or outside? So we can split this up into 2, actually, just so we don't get confused. All right, so I have the top part is going to be the negative. So this is out. All right, the negative part is what I'm looking at. Negative says it's opposite no matter what. So that's what we got to go with. Y opposite. All right, again, why is it y opposite, not y regular? Because it's opposite no matter what. So this is y opposite. Okay, is it adding, subtracting, multiplying, or is it a negative? It's a negative. Okay, so what does it do? So a negative reflects. Okay, that's what it does. So what's my final answer? It's going to reflect opposite of what I think. I wrote reflect y, so it's going to actually reflect over x. Okay, now this +3, we've already done it, so I'm just going to copy everything I just wrote right here. The +3 part is going to be outside. It's y and regular. All right, it's a adding and subtracting, and it's going to go up 3, which means final answer up 3. So this one has 2 transformations that happen to it. You're going to reflect over x, and you're also going to go up 3. So to start with this half, is it in or out? Out. Out is a half. What am I doing? Am I adding, subtracting? Am I multiplying, or is it negative? I'm multiplying. Okay, I'm multiplying. If I'm multiplying by a fraction that's less than 1, what does it do? It's a shrink. And because it's outside, it's exactly what I think, y and regular. So what's outside? Vertical, right? So it's a vertical shrink. So this one is going to be a vertical shrink. So that's just the green part. So I'm just going to highlight it so you know what belongs to what. That's the green part. Now I'm going to go inside my parentheses. So if I'm inside, I'm doing what? X and opposite. You think go left 3, but opposite will be go right 3. All right, so this one is going to go right 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and light that yellow so you know it goes with that. And then finally, I have a 2 outside. Okay, so what's that going to do? That's outside. That's going to be y and regular. Plus 2 goes which way? Up 2. So this is going to be up 2 because it's y and regular. All right, so what you're going to do now is go ahead and answer these 2 questions, okay, by writing from left to right. What am I doing? So left to right, I did this first, then this, then this. On this side, you're going to do this. What does this do? What does this do? What does this do? On this one, you're going to do what does this do? What does this do? And write it right here. All right, so I'm going to do this one. You do that one. All right, go ahead and change the question so that it looks like this. This is the question we're going to work with. So it says, given this, what transformation make it look like this? So what you have to do is look at how it's changed from here to here. So what has changed? So there used to be a negative, now there isn't. So there's a negative outside. All right, because if I multiply this by a negative, I'm going to get a positive. So there's a negative outside that has changed. On the inside, so if you look at this as square root like this, I went from negative 2. I started off with negative 2 on inside. And that became what? From negative 2, it became what else is on the inside here? Nothing. So what's nothing? 0. All right, then on the outside, there's nothing here. So I started off with 0 on outside. And what did that change to? So I changed from there's nothing here to negative 2. All right, so these were your transformations. So now you just got to write what those do. So let's talk about it. What does a negative outside do? It's a reflection. Reflection over. Now, because it's outside, you think it's the y-axis, but it's going to be opposite of what you think. So it's reflection over the x-axis. So it went from negative 2 on the inside. So went from negative 2 to 0. So this means I added 2, right? So if I add 2 on the inside, what does that mean? Remember, inside is x and opposite. Plus 2 is right, but opposite is left. So this means I went left 2. Then on the outside, I went from 0 to negative 2, which means I subtracted 2. On the outside, I'm going to be y and whatever you think. So if it's negative 2, I'm going down 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to just quickly check this with a calculator. So here's my original equation. And this is the second one. Now we're going to look at the graphs and see what happened. All right. So first, I'm going to put a negative here without it changing so that you can see it there next to each other. What happened from here to here? I'm going to go left 2, down 2, right? And I should have had that down, left 2, down 2. Watch the black line. So this black line, it should reflect over the x-axis. And again, where is the x-axis? So just to make sure, this is the x-axis right here. So now imagine this is the next axis. So if I reflect it, it's going to go up here like this. So if I go ahead and delete that, you see, it went up there. So according to this, we did our transformations correctly. There are 3 transformations on how to make this look like that. So now I want you to go ahead and try this. So obviously I did the more complicated one. The only thing that's changing is here, there's a plus 4. Here there isn't. So how do I go from plus 4 to 0? Because there's nothing. And then the second one is there's a negative 3 outside. How do I go from negative 3 to a positive 2? So think about that. And then write down those 2 transformations. Let's practice.